going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JERRY1 Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Felice, and this is episode number 28 of the JERRY1 Podcast. Before I get into anything around JERRY1, I just want to say I'm trying to develop this podcast for viewers, who are not part of the JERRY1 leagues. As when I talk about the leagues during the show, you'll see one graphic will have the top scorers. It is by our scoring system, but for the whole season, even if your team's out of the playoffs, your scores will still count because those are the top, because the NBA is still going on, the NHL is still going on, the MLB is still going on. So you'll see the score, you'll see the stats, the top fantasy scores of the season. So if you're playing a fantasy basketball league, a fantasy hockey, a fantasy baseball league, those numbers are there. You can take something out of this podcast, even with our conversation with our guests in each podcast. And you can learn a little bit about fantasy, because that's really the whole point. Yeah, it's, catch up with old friends who you don't see, in person, but also talking about our fantasy leagues together. You can pay attention to our leagues if you want, but it's also to help you as a fantasy owner. That's what I'm trying to do here at this podcast. But what a week we got going on. This recording is coming on Friday. Happy weekend. Friday, April 30th, last day of April 2021. It's the final weekend of the fantasy basketball, fantasy hockey season over in JERRY1. Some good finals. It's been some entertaining finals. Not so much inaugural third place game in basketball. That has kind of been blowout. Blake is dominating that. But over in the finals, Sam has led the whole way in basketball. He's got the lead over Paul. We're going to talk about that. Will Sam hang on for his first championship in this league, or will Paul become the first 6 seed to ever win a championship in JERRY1 Fantasy Sports history? Over on the hockey side, it's been back and forth. Matt had the lead after week one. Nate's got the lead right now. It's getting tight. It's only 5-point lead for Nate going into today. It's a tight fantasy hockey finals. We're going to talk about that. But first, to start off the show, we're going to talk about fantasy baseball. Week 4 is almost done, almost in the close. Might not get stats or an article out for you fantasy owners in that league. I apologize for that, but we do have a podcast, because it's right here. We do have a podcast this week, so we're going to talk about baseball. We're going to get you caught up. So baseball talk, then our guest, which I'll announce in a second, and I'll talk about the basketball and the hockey finals right at the end. It's just the second week. I mean, we talked about it last week when I was talking with Nate. It's still going on. It's a 2-week finals. Final weekend is here. Enjoying the weekend. It is May. I think it's finally time to stop talking about basketball and hockey, because this is the end. Who will be champion? 2 champions about to be joined in the JERRY1 history. So that's pretty big deal. But today's guest, my good college friend Larry Morris, is back on the podcast. Larry's on for his 3rd time. He's going to play JERRY1 Millionaire. I talked to him last evening, I should say. I talked to him last evening, and it was a good conversation. You're going to see that on the podcast today. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're not, you listen to this on iTunes/Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can find this podcast. I don't think it's at every podcast app, but it's out there. Wherever you're listening or watching this podcast, Larry's on the show. It's going to be a good one. I had a conversation yesterday as I record this on the day it airs. So that's the JERRY1 Podcast, what we got in store for episode number 28. Hope you enjoy it. Here we go. JERRY1 Podcast, episode 28. It's starting right now. Larry's going to come on in a second, but first let's talk about fantasy baseball to get you ready for this conversation with Larry, because it's going to be basketball conversation and a baseball conversation. So let's talk about baseball first. Week 4 is the final weekend of week 4, 18-week regular season. Yours truly off to a 3-0 start, struggling a little bit this week against Jack. Jack lost a close one to Johnny last week, so Johnny was looking at 0-2. Defending champ Johnny was looking at 0-2. Now he's 2-1. Got a couple big wins over, Paul in the rematch of the finals in week 2, and then he beat Jack in week 3. But my team's been playing well. We played well against Paul last week. Paul was looking at 2-0. Now he's 1-2. Paul does have a slight edge over Sam. Sam's had a couple crazy back-to-back weeks. Coming down to the Sunday night baseball game to the final day, which is cool. Sunday night baseball, every week, pretty much. I'm pretty sure every week. That it's going to come down. The last game in baseball, it ends on Sunday. So Sunday night baseball is how it ends. And it literally came down to Sunday night baseball the last 2 weeks for Sam. It happens. But to happen 2 weeks in a row, pretty crazy for Sam. Doesn't beat me in week 2, but he does beat Larry in week 3. Larry's been struggling. We're going to talk about not struggling. He's just not getting a lot of luck on his side. We're going to talk about that in our conversation with Larry. But Larry's got the lead over Matt. If he doesn't win this week, it's going to look like an unlucky week. And once again, for Larry, who's already had 2 unlucky weeks this season. Andrew might finally get that first win of the season. He's lost 5 in a row, dating back to last year. He's beating up on a Josh team who might have had the biggest upset in week 3. And he didn't. Yes, he ended a 8-game losing streak dating back to last season, which is not his worst losing streak. 11's actually his worst. But he had lost 19 of his last 20 games coming into his week 3 matchup against an undefeated Met team at the time. And Josh pulled out the win. Matt looked like he was going to come back and beat him on the weekend. But Josh pulled out the win on Sunday, and it was a nice win for Josh that, to end that drought. He still has lost 19 of his last 21. It's not like he's turned around this franchise, because right now he's not looking good against an Andrew team this week. It looks like it'll be a last place scoring finish for Josh if he doesn't get his shit together this weekend. And then it's the Josh team 1-3. It's not like we changed the culture of this Josh team. Yeah, he has a win. He's not going to go winless. But the culture has not changed. Culture might be changing a little bit on this Kirk team. Get back to that playoff that we're used to seeing Kurt in this league. He's got the lead over Johnny right now. Johnny 2-1, Kurt 1-2. Kurt lost a 1-1 battle of 1-1s. There's a couple battle of 1-1s in week. There was actually it was like 3 of them, I believe. Yeah. Matt was undefeated, and then Andrew was winless. So, there was 3-1 battles of 1-1s. Johnny got it over Jack. Blake got it over Kurt, and Sam got it over Larry was the other one. So, it was crucial to get the 2-1. It's not the end of the world for these teams that fell to 1-2, but it was huge. Kurt, though, falling 1-2, looking to get a bounce back win against the defending champ, which would be a nice win for Kurt. Blake's been playing well, but let's talk about this Fletcher team. This Fletcher team's been playing extremely well. It sucks to see what happened to Corbin Burns of his team, Milwaukee Brewers pitcher, getting hurt there. Hopefully everything works out all right. Hopefully a quick recovery. Not sure how long he's out. Let's look it up real quick. His place on the injury list, an unspecified reason. Interesting what's going on with Corbin Burns. I just saw he was out. I didn't know what the reason was. I'm reading it right now as we speak. But he's been killing it for Fletcher's team. It sucks to see him out right now. I don't know what the reason is, but this Fletcher team's good. He's got a lead over a good Blake team. Blake was last in scoring in week 1, but he's bounced back the last couple weeks. Blake's top guy in week 3. I probably no article this week, so I'll mention on the podcast. Brandon Woodruff, what a week 3 that guy had to help with Blake's team. He was the top scoring player in week 3. Shout out to Brandon Woodruff and Blake's team. we'll see if Blake can pull out the weekend comeback win over Fletch. Fletch is a good team. If he gets a 3-1, I'd watch out for this Fletch team. It's a good team. But once again, we've seen Fletch have great starts. We've seen it in fantasy football. Fletch has done it 3 times in his 4 years in fantasy football. It's just, can he hang on? Obviously baseball is different than football. It's a different league, different people, longer regular season. So we'll see what Fletch does. Hopefully that's not the narrative of this Fletch franchise as well in second half chokes. But it's good to see. It's always good to see a team start off hot like that. But if you get to 3-1, that would be a nice win for him. Matt, though, like I had mentioned it, Matt losing to Larry in a high-scoring affair. It would suck to see Matt go to 2-2 after a pretty good 2-0 start. So, and of course, Jack, if he can get the win over me, that would be a nice comeback for Jack, after dropping a couple. He's got Garrett Cole on his team, so you never know. Jack can get the 2-2. I'm going to try to do my best to pull out a lucky week this week, it looks like. We'll see how it goes. But that's week 4 of fantasy baseball. It's still early, but we're going to talk about it. Larry's team. Talk about Larry's, I guess, choke in fantasy basketball as well. That conversation with Larry on the podcast, episode 28, is starting right now, and here you go. Today's guest is back on the podcast for his 3rd time. He just entered his 6th JERRY1 league in JERRY1 Fantasy Baseball. He's now done basketball 3 times, baseball 3 times. Larry Morris back on the pod. Larry, how's it going?
Hey, Nick, how you doing? I'm doing good today. How are you?
Not bad. I mean, it's been some rough times for you in JERRY1 of late. Not even the basketball team. The team looked so promising, and it was a first round upset. Even over in the ESPN Tournament Challenge, you were even in the mix for the top prize, and Gonzaga even let you down, let a lot of people down. But this basketball team. We'll start with the basketball team, then we'll talk about your baseball team. This basketball team, all regular season long, it was looked at as my cousin Kyle, Blake, who you lost to in the final week of the regular season. You and Blake were actually fighting for the number 1 seed. You lost that game. And then the playoffs come, and you go against a 6-seeded Paul team, red hot, really good Paul team. Do you think you losing to Paul, do you think it was your team let you down, or do you think you just ran into a really good Paul team? Let me get your thoughts.
That Paul team is tough. He's definitely really good. I don't know what happened to my team. You said it. It wasn't even that my bad luck started in the playoffs. It was that final week. I don't know what you did to make it so the number 1 and the number 2 team are playing with a seed on the line, and we're playing each other, and Blake just goes off that week. He beat everybody, but it wasn't even like I had a bad week that final week. I still had the 2nd most points, but got that loss, got put in the 3rd seed. And like I said, that Paul team was tough. And I see now he's gone through, and the number 1 and 2 seeds, they take them out, and Paul's going for it now.
Yeah, and I remember that last week of the regular season. I was playing Kyle, and I know if I had beaten Kyle, I would have given you, because you and Blake were the top 2 going into that final week. If I had beaten them and I had the lead going into Sunday, and if I had beaten them, you would have got the bye even with the loss. But I had to let you down. But you mentioned it already. Yeah, what are your thoughts? It was Kyle, Blake, you 3 were the top teams all season, regular season long, and none of you even win in your first playoff game. What are your thoughts on not just you going getting upset in that first round by Paul and Sam, but also the other 2 top teams?
I mean, it just shows how competitive that this league is. That's one of my favorite things about playing in any JERRY1 fantasy league, is that it's always competitive. You don't know what's going to happen. And I did have my eye on your and Kyle's matchup that final week. I was hoping you would do it for us. You felt Kuka classmates. I was hoping we'd get that. And, me and Blake could go in number 1 and number 2, but fortunately that didn't happen. But like I said, it doesn't matter. I mean, baseball, that tournament challenge was awesome. Yeah, what was it, 70, 80 some people? And of course, my luck ran out in that one too. But that's, the best thing about playing in any JERRY1 league is it's always going to be competitive. It's never just a sure thing. You always got to, every single week, you never know what to expect.
Yeah, and at least you got the one playoff win. Blake, on the other hand, he is a Jerry1 choker. He even choked over in the Cuca College Football League. He's got a problem. He's always like he starts off slow and then he gets it going, and then the playoffs come and he just doesn't show up. So he's got another problem in his hand, but he does have a third place game. He's killing that right now. But you know, did it feel like I know that they have in the ESPN they have these like constellation games, but I don't keep track of those. So because you're not in for the run for the money, but does it feel like losing in that first round? Does it feel like you're kind of left out of the playoffs? It seems like it's been weeks now since we've talked about your team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. After that first loss, I mean, I think I've actually played your brother the last 2 weeks in a row, and I've still been, setting my lineup. But half my team either they're out. I got LaMarcus Aldridge, who retired a few weeks ago, but I'm not trying to pick players up and take from the teams that are still competing. But it does, my season's basically over.
Yeah. You didn't make any trades. Do you regret that at all?
Yeah, I guess a little bit. That's the one thing that I haven't actually in Jerry1 total. I don't think I've ever made a trade in Jerry1 league. And actually, my other basketball league, I did make a trade. I traded. I got Ben Simmons, and there was a few extra players for. I gave up Bam Adebayo, but of course in that league I finished 6-7 on the season, and Jerry1 I finished 9-3. Lose first round in the playoffs. And this league, I'm in the championship this week.
Oh, I was just about to ask.
So I guess maybe I am regretting. I guess maybe making a trade because worked in that league.
So you're in the finals in that league. How did Josh's team do? How did that team do?
About the same as he did in Jerry1.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to him on the basketball side of things, but yeah, I don't think I asked you that question, but I don't really think you needed to make a trade this Jerry1 team because like you had a really good team, like scoring wise, it was there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Matt was the lower seed in that Sam matchup that he had in the other first round game, but he also was like fourth in scoring, like up with you, Larry, Blake, and Kyle. And it's been a wild playoffs. Definitely a little disappointed I'm not in it. I had
a
disappointment. I had never missed the basketball playoffs until this year. That shows you that it's getting even more competitive now. And I like that, but
I got to get my championship in before it gets too competitive.
Yeah, and
looking for playoffs next year again. We got to go for it all.
Yeah, you have. That's the thing. We're going to talk about your baseball team. The basketball league, though, you have not missed the playoffs yet. You've made it every single year. And last year you were 6th seed and you won a game. So you know what that's like to pull off an upset, even though I'm pretty sure you were higher in scoring last year, too. I think you were 2nd in scoring last year, too. So it wasn't really
so.
It's just an upset in a seed way of saying it. But in like last year when you did get that upset win, I think it was over Kirk. So you know what it's like to win a game when you're the lowered seed or the higher seed, however we want to say it. But because Paul has now done that, he's made it to the finals. He's playing Sam. That's actually really competitive. I was looking at that right now. Sam has been leading most of this matchup, this 2-week matchup. It's going to end this week. It's got looks like an 82-point win or an 82-point lead. Who do you like in that? You like the hot Paul team? Sam's also been hot as well. What do you like in that?
Yeah, I've been paying attention to it, and both teams they're really good. I mean, that Paul team, they were tough to beat. They killed me in that first round of the playoffs. Last time I was on the show, I talked a lot about how Sam is always just any sport. He's always been tough for me to play against. When it comes down to this matchup between the two of them going into the weekend, I think I gotta give the edge to Sam. Paul has been he hasn't had Kawhi for the last few games. Still does have a few good players, but Sam, he's got Steph Curry. Russell Westbrook had a huge game last night, and of course, my other league I'm playing against Russell Westbrook, so that didn't help me any. And so I got to give the edge to Sam on this championship.
Now does it because Paul had a huge lead after the first week? Does it really go into effect to get that lead because it's a 2-week playoff to get that first week lead? Is that huge?
I think it is a big deal. I mean, when Paul beat me, after that first week, he was way. There's no way I was going to come up. With that having that 2 weeks. I mean, if it's a close game, like I know this one with Paul and Sam, they've been a lot closer. And Paul, he could come back. I mean, he's got Jokic, and he can put up some numbers. But having the 2 weeks, that first week, if it's a blowout, it's tough to come back from that.
Yeah. And I'm looking at your matchup with Paul a couple weeks ago. You used 5 pickups. It's still 7 maximum pickups for all 14 days. It's not, you don't get a pickup per day anymore. Did that play a role in all? Because I know you're not like, I think Kyle and Blake, they were huge with the pickups. They would use like 7 every week. I mean, but did that have any effect in your matchup against Paul?
I mean, that's something I always keep in mind. I mean, regular season, playoffs, everything. I keep track of how many pickups I can make because the more players you pick up, the more players you have playing for you, the more points you could get. I didn't use all 7 that week, just the 5. I mean, I was really happy with my team, and I just didn't see, anyone, worth trying to pick up and make up them points or something. I was happy with the guys that I had. Just unfortunately, couldn't come out with the win.
Yeah, so it is a later end to the fantasy basketball season, so we'll be back in probably 5-6 months. I'm assuming the NBA season will be back in October like normal, hopefully. But it's moving on to baseball. Still looking for that first championship. Baseball though I'll just say it's not like your team is terrible. I just think you need to get some more luck on your side, and that's been your narrative. I think in any kind of fantasy that I played with you, is you're one of those owners that just doesn't get the luck like some of these other teams, because your baseball season this year, yes, you're 1-2, but the 2 losses that you had, you were top half in scoring. So that means you were top 6 out of the 12 teams in scoring, and you lost. And you had a close one against Sam, who you finally beat him in basketball, but you couldn't beat him in baseball.
No.
Don't beat him in baseball. What are the thoughts of your team so far in baseball?
I mean, I'm really happy with my team. I think I've got a great pitching staff. Offense, I'm happy with them. I've just, like you said, it's just been super unlucky. And going back to where I said before, about how Jerry1 is always so competitive. That game I had with Sam last week, I couldn't believe it. Came down the Sunday night baseball, Padres versus the Dodgers. I'm laying in bed watching this game, hoping I can pull out a win. And sure enough, I can't.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how much you follow other matchups, but the same thing happened to Sam last week in my matchup. Sunday night baseball. I was messaging Sam during it. And it came down 2 weeks in a row. He's had a game comes down to the final game, which is cool about baseball because they have that Sunday night baseball. So that is the final game of the entire week. So it gets a little intense sometimes if you got some players like that. So that's always fun. Going back to the draft back at the end of March, I had the pick right behind you, but on the whip around on the other half of the snake, I would have it before you because I had the 12th pick and you had the 11th pick. And I remember the 4th round, and I was going to go for a first baseman, and Anthony Rizzo, who I have, and Jose Abreu, who you're reunited with. And I was like, you know what? I'll take Rizzo. I know Larry's probably going to draft Abreu right after me, so I let you have Abreu. They're both doing well, but and you had Darvish on your team last year, right? Well,
yes.
So you're reuniting with some of the players. But first of all, let's just talk about Abreu. What were your thoughts on getting him after you saw me not take him and I went with Rizzo right before you?
Well, going back to that draft night, when I first saw that I had the 11th pick, I was like, what am I going to do? I mean, it's nice you got 11th and then you 12, 13, and then I got the second pick there in the second round. So my whole game plan was I need to get a solid pitcher and I need to get a solid slugger. And I saw Trevor Bauer sitting there, reigning Cy Young winner from last year. And I was like, you know what? There's my pitcher. So it comes back around to me that second round. I saw Darvish sitting there, and I was like, in my mind, I wanted to get a hitter, but I'm like, he was the highlight of my team last year. I feel like I can't pass him up again. And it just so happened when it came back around, I got Marcell Ozuna in the third round, and then right there I saw Jose Abreu, and I'm like, there it is. Like, I'm getting my team together this year.
Yeah, I like it. A little redemption. And you Darvish on the Padres this year, so I'm expecting. He's off to a good start. Expect him to have a better year with a better team, I think. And and Trevor Bauer was on my team last year. My team wasn't great scoring wise, but I got a little lucky. I won't admit. I will admit I got a little lucky to get into the whatever playoff we had last year. But I was in it, and Trevor Bauer was definitely the highlight of my team. He's a really good pitcher, and he's off to a great start with you so far. I mean,
Oh yeah.
scoring wise, you're there. I mean, you have it. Just a couple unlucky weeks. I mean, your only win is against Josh, but a win's a win. Josh did beat Matt, who was undefeated last year. Last week. That was kind of surprising, but what's it going to take, Larry, for this? You have basketball, very good basketball success. But what's it going to take to transition over here to baseball?
I think the one thing is when it comes to one thing I like about playing fantasy basketball and fantasy baseball is it's not like football where you have all week to prepare. You have, I mean, of course you got your Thursday night game, Monday night game, but you have all week to prepare, for the big day. For baseball, it's, and basketball, it's every single day. So I always have the same mindset and, let's get the most points tonight. And, do I need to pick up somebody? Do I need, what's it going to take to get the most points tonight? And so I always approach, basketball and baseball the same way. I think the biggest thing that I really need, like you said, I'm putting up points right now. Of course, I lost to Sam last week with that unlucky loss. I'm struggling against your brother this week. He's got a really great team. But I think the biggest thing I'm missing out on is just a little bit of luck.
Yeah, and I don't want to jinx it too early, but if you don't beat Matt this week, it's looking like you do have the lead right now, 5-point lead. But on this Thursday afternoon, but I don't want to jinx you here, but you're looking like if you don't pull this win on against Matt, it might be another unlucky week.
Yeah, this is a big week right here. Matt's a tough team, but I got to come up with. I can't go too far behind 500. If I can win this week, that'll bring me back. But 1-3, it's starting to dig a little bit of a hole there. I'm gonna need a little bit more luck than that to get out of.
Yeah, and this season is a 18-week regular season. You did have one your first year in this league back 2 years ago. Last year really wasn't much. It was just a couple weeks, 7 weeks at regular season, and that was it. And does it feel like this is your third year, or are you looking at maybe it's like your second year? It's like your second year in this league.
I mean, last year being such a short season, I felt like when my team, I was finally starting to come together, maybe able to put up a few points. The season was over and it was playoff time, and I didn't make it.
Yeah.
With that, so it didn't really feel like a full season. So I was super excited this year to finally have a full season. So of course I'm having a slow start right now, but I'm hoping kind of my second and a half season to finally make the playoffs in this league and try and go from there.
Yeah, I mean you're right there. I mean, yeah, it's a 1-2 start, but you're right there. I mean, you're tied for 7th place. You're in the 7th place spot, which is right outside the playoffs. And I don't know if you saw, but the ESPN app and online has this now playoff percentage.
Oh yeah.
And they like your team still. 78% chance to make the playoffs. I mean, you could be Blake, who's right ahead of you, 30% chance. And then of course there's Paul all the way, not the total bottom, but they say 0% chance for Boston to make the playoffs. I don't know where they're coming up with these, but that's what are your thoughts on that? You see that?
Yeah, that's actually one question I was going to ask you, Nick, is what your opinion was about ESPN putting that into place. When I think I know football, they already they give you the projections of where they think you're going to finish. So I thought it was nice that they put something in like that, and they're believing in me right now. So I'm liking it.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's cool. I was a little bummed last week. My team was going off, and last week, and My team was going off, and they still weren't putting me as a top projection. Now they finally put me up there. I am undefeated, 3-0. You know, I like my team so far, but I don't want to get too excited because this week I am not scoring too well. So I could, you could lose on any given week. It's the pressure of going undefeated is tough,
Mm-hmm.
because no one's ever done that. But I don't think I'm going to do it. But the playoff percentage thing is cool. I wish they would add a little bit. I wish they would add even more kind of stuff like that because keeps you interested. I wish, like in football, they have projected points, for the week. I wish they would do something like that in baseball. I don't know how they would do that because they don't know who you're going to play because you got to actually sub your lineup in. But that would be pretty cool to do something like that. So I like it. Yeah. It's an interesting.
So you can't like it too much if you check earlier when I checked the points. Like you were up there for your percentage. Don't want to jinx you and say what I saw, but it was up there.
Yeah, 99. That's a little too early to say 99, especially when you're the one that's right outside the playoffs and only 2 games back with 50 weeks to go. But this is an interesting league so far. It's still too early. It's like week 4 last year was just like that was the middle of the regular season. But week 4 in this season, like we got the whole summer to play regular season fantasy baseball here. So there's plenty of time for you to turn around. 18-week regular season. What's the goal this year? What's the record? What are we looking for out of your team?
Let's see. I'm currently sitting at 1-2. If I were to go 500, that'd be 9-9. I think I want to say the goals. We'll go with 10-8. It's gonna be tough to hit. But with 10-8, I think that put me, right there and hitting the playoffs. If I do better, I do better. If I do worse, it wouldn't be the worst I've done in this league. But
and you see Sam and Paul in basketball, all it takes is to get in. Like the goal. We have 2 buys in this league now. I mean, the goal. It's nice to get a buy. Like you were definitely shooting for a buy in basketball. It would have been nice. They get the 2 weeks, especially if you're hurt. Get some guys healthy before you start your playoff run. But I think all it takes now is just to get in, and heck, you can make a run that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm in the championship in my other basketball league this week. I was the 6th seed, so I'm playing the 1 seed. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, as long as you can make it in, and as long as I can make it in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely the goal this year for baseball is at least make it in. Then, from there, let's look at a championship. But let's make it in first.
Yeah, especially these JERRY1 tight leagues. There's really not a lot of difference between the 6 and the 1 seed, unless it's just like an absurd, great team just dominating the league. But we have not seen that in a while. So, that's really all I got for you on baseball. But Larry, anybody who comes on my show for a 3rd time plays my new game. It's called JERRY1 Millionaire. It is a condensed version of the actual Millionaire. It is 10 questions from easy or harder, as a Millionaire would be, from 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, all the way up to 100 points, 10 points, 100 points, 10 questions. The checkpoints are after 30 points and after 60 points. The first 3 are pretty easy. I hope they're easy, but you will answer at least 4 questions. If you do get one wrong somehow in the first 3, you will sacrifice one of your lifelines and move on. But the lifelines are a hint. So I just give you a hint for the question. Next one is 50-50, the classic 50-50. And then the other one is double shot. Double shot, you need to say that you're going to use the lifeline, and you get 2 chances at the answer, 2 guesses. You can use the hint after the first guess, but if you guess right on the first one, the lifeline is gone regardless. But yes, it is 10 questions, 4 choices, just like that, like a Millionaire. Larry, are you ready to play?
Yeah, let's play.
All right. I can't remember how well you did on the other. I think you did pretty well on the other 2 games, but let's go for that 100. Let's put that.
Let's go for it.
So the top score is 60. Nate got that last show. The low score is Paul with 30. We will see. No one has ever walked. I don't expect anyone to ever walk in this game. But here we go. For 10 points, 4 questions, 4 choices. What was Larry's end result? What was your end result during the 2020-21 basketball season? So this last fantasy basketball season, what was your end result? Was it A, missed the playoffs, B, lost in the playoffs, C, quit, or D, deleted his ESPN account?
I hope it's not D. I'm going to say B. Final answer.
That is correct. Yes, it is B. And I realize I don't have a pen, but we'll live on. We'll live. I don't think I have one, but yes, it is B. You lost in the playoffs, sadly, but not sad. You got 10 points. You're moving on to 20-point question with all three lifelines. Here we go. 20 points. What seed has Larry not been in a fantasy basketball playoff? Is it A, the 3 seed, B, the 4 seed, C, the 6 seed, or D, the 10 seed?
Say D, the 10 seed.
And that is correct. Yes, you have never been a 10 seed because there's never been a 10 seed. I thought you might be getting a little nervous there. I made you a little nervous. I know I did.
Just a little bit.
But I put out easy one in there for you. Yeah, 10 seed, 20 points. Here we go. 4 checkpoint, 30-point question. How many career wins do you have in fantasy basketball, regular season and playoffs? Is it A, 8 wins, B, 29 wins, C, 104 wins, or D, 0 wins?
I'm going to go with B, 29 wins.
And yeah, that is correct. Yes, you had 29 career wins, 28 regular season, 1 playoff. Yet here you are, Larry. You got 30 points, easy peasy, but the game has finally begun because here we go with the 40-point question. You have all 3 lifelines. Do not be afraid to use one. For 40 points, how many games in baseball did it take you to win? How many games in basketball did it take you to win 20 career wins? So how many games did it take you to win 20 career wins in basketball? Was it A, 20 games? Was it B, 26 games? C, 34 games? Or D, 44 games? Did you hear me?
Oh, sorry. What was that? What was D? What was that one?
I'll just repeat it. I know it froze a little bit there. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard all of them but D.
Okay, D was 44. Yeah. So 20 games, 26 games,
okay.
34, 44.
I know it's either 34 or 44. I don't think I went 20 and 10, to be honest. I got to say D.
D, final answer?
Yep.
And that is sadly
wrong. It's
correct, Larry.
Is it correct? Oh, okay.
We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. So, you know what? We're going to move on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. No problem.
All right. We're going to move on. We had some technical difficulties. We're just going to keep moving. We're going to keep playing the game. All right. For 50 points. What was your 2019 fantasy baseball record? Was it A, 5-13, 6, or B, 6-12, C, 7-11, or D, 9-9? 2019 baseball, 18-week regular season.
Let's go B.
6-12, final answer?
Did you hear? Let's go with B.
And that is sadly incorrect.
Yep, 6-12. We'll go with that.
That's sadly incorrect.
Should have used the lifeline.
Yeah, so your correct answer was actually 7-11 you were. So
either way, a little too much.
Either way, you finish with 30 points. It's tough, it's a tough game, but everybody who comes on this millionaire game does get to at least answer the 100-point question. Are you ready for the 100-point question?
Yeah. Can I use my lifeline for the 100-point
Yes, you
question?
can use your
Okay.
lifeline if you want.
All right, let's
All
do
right.
it.
This is hard. How many points? How many points did you score in your one playoff win in basketball in the first round last year? Was it A 1372, B 1278, C 1352, or D 1311?
Wow, that is hard. um, let me get the 50-50. Let's take it down to two.
50-50. Okay, 50-50. I'll do A and D left. Is it
Okay.
either 1372 or 1311?
We'll go with A, 1372.
And that is correct. Yes, it is 1372. Sadly, you don't get the points, but you will end with 30. But it's always fun to do the 100-point question. Yeah, 1372, one playoff win. How about that? Got to get some more playoff wins. I believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
So before I get you out of here, Larry, what baseball wise, you know, you're playing Matt this week. Will it be tough? Are you trying? Would it be a disaster to start 1-3? What would that mean?
I wouldn't call it a complete disaster. I mean, it's an 18-week season. I can come back from that, but it's going to start to be digging a hole that's going to be because, I mean, like I said before, my goal for my record this year, I want to be above 500, and 1-3, that's that's ways away from 500. That'd be a big hole to come back from. So I'm really hoping. I know right now, my game with Matt, we are really close. It's probably going to take go through all weekend and maybe even go down to last minute on Sunday like my matchup with Sam did. We'll see, but I'm really hoping that I'm trying to do everything I can to get this win this week and bring me back to 500 because that's just a bit too big of a hole that I don't want to get out of.
Yeah, it's a long season. Uh, you know, 500. I maybe you got a winning streak. I think that's always the goal into having a good team in fantasy in any season in any league is to put together a big winning streak. And maybe not really a big winning streak, but just to avoid losing streaks. Like you've only lost one in a row, but just you got to avoid the 3-game losing streaks, the 4-game losing streaks. And if you get up to 5, then that's costly. But the goal is to get winning streaks. Blake is very known for that. He gets those big winning streaks, but I think the goal for your team this year is just to make the playoffs, and then you never know. This could be your year. You think it's your year?
I sure hope so. I actually have two questions or recommendations, I guess, for you for our JERRY1 baseball league for next year. I mean, maybe it's not possible to see. My first one is there any way because not every pitcher hits well, but sometimes they do hit. So, for example, last night, because living down here in South Carolina, I'm about 2 hours up the highway away from Atlanta. So I get every single Braves game. And I'm watching Noah pitch last night, and he pitched a great game. And he also hit his first career home run. And he hit a single. He had a great hitting game as well. And it kind of sucked. He's doing great for me pitching, and he had a great game last night pitching. He got his second career win. But seeing him hit that home run and not getting any points for that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Is there any way to have pitchers, get points for hitting too?
I have to look into it, but I don't believe so because I have Shohei Ohtani on my team, who is the pitcher hitter. He's both. So, and his ruling to play him is I have to decide. And of course, the first game he played this year, he was going to hit and pitch in the same game, and because he's in the American League, so that's kind of weird. Yeah, so I have to decide. I'm going to want to trade him, to be honest. I don't like deciding him so much. So anyway, look out for him. You have to decide whether or not you want to make him a pitcher or a hitter for that day. and you can only get the hitting stats if you make him a hitter, or you can only get the pitching stats if you make him a pitcher. And it kind of sucks, and he only plays DH. And I have Stanton on my team who plays DH. So I have to make a decision like every 4 days that he doesn't pitch, whether or not I want to play Stanton or Ohtani. I've been playing Ohtani a lot more lately because Stanton's been struggling. But yeah, it does suck. I would like to see, I agree with you. I would like to see the pitchers get their points for hitting too, but I don't think I have to look into it, but I don't think you can.
Okay, that was just something else, especially last night watching that game. That was something when he hit that home run. It's not the first time I've thought of it, but last night, and that brings me to my second question as well. Can we bring to the JERRY1 League a DH?
Like a DH position?
Yeah. So instead of putting them in that utility position, let's add a designated hitter position and then have a utility on top of that.
Now that I think we can do. We'll bring it up in the off season, and I think that will get approved by the rest of them. Because it makes a great point. Because a lot of people have those DHs. Like I just said, I had 2 DHs on my team, Stanton and Ohtani. Ohtani pitches, but on the days he hits, I have to decide to put him as a DH. And because of utility, a lot of people have DHs on their team. So utility, you've been using that utility spot basically as a DH spot. You're not giving another chance for another hitter who plays other positions. But I think we could definitely make that happen.
Because that's what I'm using right now. I have a few players who have, the DH designation or whatever for what the positions they play. And some of them, I'm able to put like Marcell Ozuna, I can put him as an outfielder and all. But I do have Alvarez, so he's just a DH, and so it's either I play him or I don't play him. And I feel like I got 4 solid outfielders on my team. So it's like, do I bench one of my outfielders and play him, or do I, bench him and put my 4th outfielder in the utility spot?
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely, as long as you remind me, I'll definitely bring it up to everyone. And I think DH should get its own spot. I think I don't see any reason wrong with it because, it's hitting is, most guys get, 1 point, 2 points. It's like, it's not that much points. It's not like you're adding an extra pitcher spot, where someone can put a pitcher in. But we'll definitely bring it up. Anybody who comes on here, definitely voice your opinions. I like it. But I don't know about the pitcher thing. It's kind of stupid that they don't count, though. It really is.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I'm trying to put it as like in football. It's like in football. If I think if I don't know how to put it, like a kickoff return touchdown, I think is a touchdown in football for like a receiver. If you have him as your receiver, but you don't have him as you don't have him as a special teams guy. But I think you get the points in football for that touchdown, even though it's not a receiving touchdown like they're listed. But that should be like that. But any other requests?
Nope, that was just the big one that as long as I can remember to bring it up when it comes time before we start next season. But that's something I think we could add to the JERRY1 League.
I like it. Well, Larry, thank you for coming on for the podcast for a 3rd time. We'll probably get you on later this summer for a 4th time. But I wish the best of luck for your baseball team going forward. Larry, thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Always enjoy being on here.
I want to thank Larry for coming on. It was good to catch up with him. It was a good conversation last night. And I wish the best of luck for his baseball team going forward. Will this finally be Larry's year? Finally, Larry's season. It's his 6th season now. There's still people like Justin. He's playing double-digit seasons. He's still looking for his first championship. So you just never know when it's going to happen. It's like, we're about to talk about the finals here. Paul's been to the finals 3 times in basketball. Nate's been to the finals 3 times in hockey. But even them, you can't guarantee that you can get back to a final. So win one when you can. But thank you, Larry, for coming on. Now, let's talk about basketball first. Fantasy basketball finals has been pretty entertaining, but it's been Sam who's been in the lead the whole time. it would be something if Paul could sneak out this championship win. The 6th seed, it would be something if he could do it. Be the first two-time champion in this league. And then again, you got Sam trying to win a basketball championship. He's already won a baseball championship. Those are the only two he plays in currently. JERRY1 leagues that he plays in currently. That would be something if he can pull out the win. As well, if I forgot to mention it, you probably will see on the side here the top scorers in basketball. Nikola Jokic has been dominating for Paul's team all season long. Stephen Curry's been hot for Sam's team. Chef Curry cooking up W's. I think the key is, it's going to be this weekend. Big Friday. Paul needs to set his lineup. Hopefully, he sets his lineup by the time this airs. But Sam's got his lineup set. He's ready to go for Friday. This has been an entertaining finals. I'm really looking forward to see how this plays out. Yeah, it's been a shortened season in both basketball and hockey. But the basketball season seems like it's been going on for a while. I mean, the draft was back in December. We're talking about May tomorrow. So we still got a pretty good season. I mean, we had a whole playoffs. The only thing we didn't have was the first 4 weeks of the regular season. That's literally all we didn't have. So, we still had a pretty full season. I don't think there's no asterisks on this season at all. Maybe in the hockey season a little bit. I'll talk about in a second. But Sam's done a good job, and we'll see if he hangs on. He's got a 13-12, 12-08 lead currently on this Friday morning. We'll see, a 100-point lead. If he can have that 100-point lead by Sunday, he's got the dub. He's got it. But never count out Paul. Third place game, it's over. Blake, I probably should just give you your money now. This Kyle team, though, it sucks to see how this team ended because this team was so good. But, man, just injuries, not playing, people not playing has really, not that it's not playing. It's just like the people he's lost. Like he lost a bonus in LaMelo. And when did Kyle get LaMelo Ball? Oh, yeah, that's right. Blake dropped him when he went hurt. He got hurt. He never played. Yeah, it's over. Anyway, Blake's going to get the best of Kyle. One-seeded Blake at least got something to celebrate this year. Sucks for this Kyle team because coming into this year, you thought Kyle, Sam, it was going to be it. And now it's looking like Sam might win the championship. But we'll see how this Kyle team bounces back next year. It's interesting to see how all these teams bounce back, like Larry, Matt, Justin Kiefer going to his second year. It's going to be interesting. Me, disappointing year. Justin Hillwalk, Kurt, they're always there. But it's been a fun year. It sucks that it's coming to an end because I do enjoy basketball season. But hey, it's going to be here quicker than you know it. Next podcast, I'll recap it all. Hopefully it's next week. But whenever the next podcast will be, I will recap both basketball and hockey, even if it's not next week. But I will recap it. So the next podcast will be the final podcast of basketball and hockey talk. But let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about hockey. Let's bring it up. It's been a great finals. It's been a great playoffs, to be honest with you. It's the playing game was great. Semifinals little overhyped. We're expecting a lot more, but Nate has got a 5-point lead on this Friday morning against Matt. This Matt team, you can't count them all. You cannot count them out all season long. And he's right there. He's got a chance to, pull off an unbelievable win, 3 straight wins over Nate. Nate trying to become the first, it'll be 3 straight wins over the season over Nate, which is no one's ever done that, to beat Nate 3 times in a year and 3 times in the same season. Nate's trying to become the first 2-time champion in this league. I think he's got it. I still like Nate this weekend, but you just can't count on that. He's a pesky team. It's been an unbelievable run, but there's only 3 days left. 3 days left to prove yourself. Who's going to be a champion in this league? There is money on the line, $70 to the winner. So that's a good couple beers right there. So that's a good couple weekends right there. So it'll be fun. I think what's interesting about this finals is that there's only one game on Sunday in the NHL, and that is Tampa Bay at Detroit. Right now, Nate's got 1, 2. 1, 2. Matt has 1 player. That's interesting. I cannot believe they lined up that way where there's one NHL game on Sunday. So that's going to be huge. Absolutely huge. I think so. Yeah, you can score with those guys. Matt's got a forward. Nate's got a forward defender. You can score. There's still a chance to score. But especially how close it is. If it's this close and it comes down to Sunday, oh, man, is that going to be a huge game at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday? Because the champion's going to be crowned Sunday late, Sunday evening, early Sunday evening. It's going to be nuts. But, man, it's going to be nuts. That's going to be great. Hopefully no stat corrector in the finals. I hate to see a final so close and then a stat corrector becomes a factor. I would hate to see that, especially after a champion's been crowned. It's never happened. But I cross my fingers that it won't happen. But I think you got to look at this finals, though, as these next 2 days, tonight and Saturday, really going to make your statement and who's going to win the hockey championship. That's it for fantasy hockey and basketball. We will wrap it up next podcast. Episode 29 will be the end of the 2020-2021 basketball and hockey seasons. And then we just dive right into baseball summer. I don't mind it. It's just baseball talk. And then August comes around, we're going to be talking about fantasy football again. I love it. But I do have a birthday shout out this week. Actually, it's a special birthday shout out because on Tuesday, I'm going to, in case we don't film before that, I'm going to get it out now. Tuesday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Happy birthday to Nate Severance. Yes, the same Nate from the Fantasy Hockey League. Nate, if he can win it, $70, that is a good, birthday, or I guess it would be an early birthday present because I'll hand out money on Monday. It'd be a good early birthday present for Nate. I wish the best of luck for Nate this weekend against Matt. Happy birthday, Nate, on Tuesday next week. So, yeah, that's it for the podcast. Happy birthday, Nate. Thank you, Larry, for coming on. And I wish everyone the best of luck. If you're still playing in basketball and hockey this weekend, the final weekend of the season. And I wish everyone the best of luck in the weekend of week 4 and into week 5 in fantasy baseball. So that's it. I've been Nick Felice. Set your lineup, and we'll see you on the next JERRY1 Fantasy Sports podcast.